JHXC is a sellout.
So at long last, after nearly 2 months of waiting on the edge of my seat, the results for the massive 2021 Clunker game making competition have been announced. And they're interesting, to say the least. There are some honorable mentions at the bottom here that include PvE, Krunker Govax, and Crystal Defender. And I'd also like to add my own, Firefly Defense and Noir Rush. Both tend to melt my PC, but I still think they were cool. But anyways, the official results are as follows. Number 10 is Geometry Dash. Alright, it's Geometry Dash. Enough said. Number 9 is Pristis, which is that sort of underwater ring flying thing. Number 8 is 10-pin bowling. It's bowling, right? And a huge jump, number 7 is Jailbird from 7fi and Octo. I kind of thought this would be higher, but hey, this is Jailbird. It's right here. And number 6 is, well, my very own Saucer Labs. Yeah, Saucer Labs is number 6. I'm fine with it, alright? And in the end, I did get a reward for Most Innovative category, even if I think a particular other map deserves the Most Innovative award more. 5th place is Sponge Gun by Duke V. And number 4 is Aatrox. Only at number 4. I was thinking that would get 1st place, but here it is at 4th. Didn't even get Most Innovative or even Best Graphics, right? The Best Graphics went to Engage instead. Number 3 is Warlord from Kibi, right? It's Kibi, no surprises there. 2nd place is DQ's Ballaboats, no surprises there either. And then there's 1st place. Are you ready for it? Pizza Place from Zombocom. Yeah, honestly didn't expect that, and not sure if I really agree because freaking Aatrox. I mean, come on. But hey, at the end, it's a super creative and unique multiplayer game that has tons of effort put into it, and it's very intricate and everything, so hey, 1st place. GG. The devs are planning to, I guess, further explain their placements in this little live stream they're planning, but even as it stands, I am satisfied with the results and my own placement in it. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, alright? Because this competition resulted in some of the craziest shit I've seen in Krunker. And most importantly, it represents a shift in what can be expected from Krunker games. And yes, these are actual games, alright? I can finally confidently call these games instead of maps. And this is what I really want to get into with this video, alright? The way Krunker game making is changing. Or evolving, I should say. So about over a year ago at this point, I uploaded a video asking if the Krunker Editor was turning into a game engine. It was definitely far-fetched back then. All I was going off of at the time was that Krunker maps were being called games, and the fact that the overhaul in the editor UI was changed very recently before that moment. So yeah, there were big changes, but not enough to scream, this is a game engine now, which... yeah, I was jumping the gun and just making clickbait, alright? It was cringy, alright? But now, well, first off, there was the big-ass Krunker Game Cop that just happened, alright? That brought us what may very well be the grandfathers of legit Krunker games. Then there's all the advancements in, custom assets, custom CSS, mods, animations, triggers, and you also have the ability and permission to host your completed games on a separate domain. And you can publish it to, like Crazy Games or some other website like that. And probably the biggest recent change is the addition of CrunkScript. It's still being worked on and tweaked and stuff, and it's been kind of iffy recently. But the point of it is that you can add scripts to your maps. Alright? Now I want you to let this sink in. Alright? You can now add scripts to your Krunker games. Right now. You can do this right now. This is a feature that is in the Krunker Editor right now, alright? This is something I never thought would be a thing, even a year ago when I made that first Krunker Engine video. And now, it's here, alright? It's at the point now where, maybe not right now or anytime soon, but in time, like in a few years from now, I can see the Krunker Editor being used to make a legitimate standalone game. And I'm excited for this, alright? The Krunker Editor could become a platform similar to, say, Roblox Studio, which is at that point where you can make games with it, like Phantom Forces. And I don't play Roblox, alright? But I have heard of how expansive Roblox Studio is, and the Krunker Editor could become its own version of that in the coming years. Now, I don't think that even in a decade, if it goes that far, it will reach the likes of the big boys like Unity or Unreal Engine, but it is definitely showing promise in being its own browser-based sort of game maker for entry-level game development. However, that's one of the things that's kind of holding me back from being fully enthusiastically on board with it, alright? I don't think that this potential Krunker game engine or Krunker studio of the future, whatever it will be, I don't think it will be as viable as Unity or Unreal. It won't be, alright? Now, I am in my final year of game art and design college, alright? And I have a baseline knowledge in both Unity and Unreal, as well as several different programs that fit in an industry pipeline and have industry standard features. And I have a pretty good idea of how game development works. And I can tell you that if I were to choose between the Krunker Editor, even in the future, and, Unity and Unreal, I'd go with Unity and Unreal. And mostly Unreal. I mean, Unity's kind of janky. Alright, there are several potential issues that I have with the Krunker Editor's environment, most of which may very well be addressed in time, but they are issues nonetheless. There's the fact that many of the features like Krunkscript and all the custom assets and the mods and CSS, they all seem disjointed from each other, like they're not all in the Krunker Editor itself, but things like sound, music, and textures and models, they have to be uploaded to the Krunker Hub, rather than just straight into the Krunker Editor and embedded into the map. And they also have bizarre file size limitations and things, and yeah, the point is that the Krunker game editor is too intertwined with Krunker and other Krunker systems, and they would have to be overhauled in order to make it, its own thing, if you know what I mean. And that's probably not going to happen anytime soon because the Krunker editor is still very much for Krunker, alright? And I am almost certain that in the next few years the devs will probably streamline this greatly, but herein lies the other issue, the updates. I know there have been a lot of good updates recently with the Krunker Editor and the Krunkscript and everything, and those are cool, but the way updates work on standalone engines like both of the big U's, alright, like, Unity and Unreal, I'm just going to refer them to U's, is that they have a sort of stable release schedule, where they release these big updates slowly over time, and they allow you to stick with whatever version you have at the moment. Kind of like Minecraft, alright? Minecraft has all these versions that you can use, and you don't have to update to the newest version right away, unless you're, doing multiplayer, but if you're just doing single player, you can really play on any version all the way down to, I think, the original release from 2011, and maybe even before that, I think. Unity and Unreal do pretty much the same thing. Both of them have version numbers and things like Minecraft, and that is a benefit. Alright, having a stable release allows you to focus on the map without having all these additional features slammed into you and having to deal with it. But with Krunker, while the updates are cool, they happen super frequently, and the editor, it just updates, alright? And you have no control over it, alright? It will update whether or not you want it to, and it will cause problems, alright? It will cause problems, alright? Oftentimes these updates are broken or unfinished, like, for example, Krunkscript, right? Krunkscript is cool, but when it came out, like, in June/July, it was kind of half-assed, and then it went back into beta, and then it was released again, and it's still kind of iffy, like, it's still being worked on a lot, alright? Krunkscript is very much in development, alright? It's like being on the latest developmental snapshot of Minecraft, alright? Again, going back to Minecraft. And yeah, this is kind of an unstable way of doing things, as the way certain aspects of the editor and the environment will change, like CSS and mods and other aspects of the games. They will break, and these updates aren't really communicated with the game makers until the updates are released and out there, and then you'll have to fix it up and scramble and figure out what's wrong with your games, and then you'll have to update it again when another thing breaks, and again and again and again and again and again and again and again. Alright, see how this can be an issue, alright? Since all these maps are being hosted on the cloud, it does make sense to do it this way, but this will be a serious drawback for larger, much more robust games, which will have to be diagnosed and fixed constantly. It'll be a struggle, alright? Again, I'm pretty sure these will all be addressed in time, but these are things that could potentially hold the editor back. And yeah, as much as I love the editor, and I want to see this grow into a legit game-making program like Studio, I really don't see myself using the Krunker Editor over Unreal Engine, especially to make full-on games to be sold on Steam, alright? There's just all these tiny things about the Krunker Editor that are just bizarre, like not being able to rotate collidable objects, or how the GUI tools in the Krunker Editor are honestly garbage and rely too much on HTML and CSS. Trust me, alright, Unity's UI tools are infinitely better than Krunker Editor's tools, and Unreal Engine's tools are infinitely better than Unity's tools, alright? And yeah, as I grow into my role as a game dev, there will be a time where I will not quit, so to speak, but rather almost fully switch to one of the two big U's instead. Hell, I'm already starting to work on a little project using Unreal Engine 4 right now, alright? It's not going to be anytime soon. I'm probably just going to do something like what I've been doing with Online Sequencer, where I just draft stuff out and just shell out. But when it comes to legit professional games, the kind of games I want to make, like the standalone single player, experiences, I'm not using Krunker Editor, even if it manages to get even crazier than it is now, alright? Having said that, I do see myself and many future game devs using the Krunker Editor for other purposes, like simple games, multiplayer games, making prototypes to further explore in legit game engines, and of course, the Krunker maps, alright? Like just plain Jane Krunker maps, right? At the end of the day, this is the Krunker Editor that we're talking about. It was originally designed to make Krunker maps, and it's still really fucking good at that. And I'm partnered on Krunker, so yeah, I'm stuck with Krunker for a while, alright? Whether or not I like it. And I do like it, alright? I do really like it, alright? The thing you have to consider, and the big thing that makes this so exciting, is that the Krunker Editor is relatively easy to learn and get into. There are tutorials for many basic features which can be used to learn more complex techniques, and it's just really easy to get into. With Unity and Unreal, they aren't hard to use, so to speak, and they're both free to start just like Krunker, but they're definitely much harder to learn, and you'll definitely need a baby or computer to use them, alright? Especially Unreal Engine 4, okay? You can make the case that Unity is approachable thanks to the huge amounts of documentation and tutorials out there, and it is somewhat easy to use in that regard, but you'd have to learn C# programming to really learn it. And just forget about Unreal Engine 4, alright? It took me 4 years to dedicated college to learn this engine, and I'm still not fully comfortable with it. It's very clear that Unreal is designed for larger game studios. I mean, indies can use it, I guess, but still, alright? The only reason you'd want to use Unreal Engine 4, or 5 pretty soon, is to make the best game possible. Not just whatever dumb little game just for kicks, but a legit, professional, high-quality game, alright? The Krunker Editor, on the other hand, could potentially take a very different position and approach than Unreal does, right? Even studios who primarily use Unreal Engine 4 could find plenty of uses for the Krunker Editor, as it can function as a rather easy way of prototyping your game design ideas with built-in movement and multiplayer logic already there. And you don't even need to learn CrunkScript to use some of these features, right? Triggers are a thing in here, and even though they're kind of confusing and stuff, they are there, and you don't really need to learn how to program to use them. And for hobbyists or aspiring or learning devs like me, the Krunker Editor could be perfect, right? It can be used as a way to get into the general flow of game development, as a sort of stepping stone in one's game development journey. Hell, look at me, right? I don't think I'd be as into game development right now if I hadn't discovered the Krunker Editor when I did, and I didn't stick with it alongside my studies, right? And this is where I think this future Krunker game engine will shine. Accessibility and education. Even if it will probably never be an industry standard, learning the Krunker Editor alongside industry standards will be a great way to reinforce what you learn. And it's free, and it's relatively easy to learn, and you can run it in your Chromebook, pretty much, right? It runs on Chrome, you can run it on your Chromebook. Wouldn't exactly recommend that, but you can do it. And as skeptical as I've probably seemed throughout this video, I'm all for it, alright? I am very excited for what the Krunker Editor has in store for us.